And welcome to the Circle Talk Show that comes on your way every Thursday. I am your host, Khadija Tujaita. With me in the studio, we are joined by Mr. Lamin Beyai, a great historian and an educator. Before proceeding, I will just allow him to tell you who he is. Please tell us yourself.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Khadija. Good evening to the viewers. My name is Lamin Beyai. A teacher by profession, and then currently a history student at the University of the Gambia, a fourth-year history student for that matter. And then thank you for having me here. And then once again, I say welcome to the viewers there.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Like I said, he is a great historian. Our topic of discussion today is going to be Road to Independence and Gambian independence for that matter. Mr. Beyai, I just want you to brief us about Gambia's independence.
Thank you very much once again, Kajatu. And to the viewers, Kajatu is, giving high compliment on me. I still regard myself as a history student rather than a historian.
He is a historian, I'm telling you.
So I'm still learning anyway. Okay, this is a very important topic, Kajatu. When we say independence, it actually means something. As we are talking here, the entire country is on the preparation for the forthcoming independence anniversary. And then soldiers are on their march practice, TV station, radio station are talking about independence. So definitely it actually means something to us as a nation. And then I believe that this is a very important topic for us to discuss in this platform about independence and things that are related to it. And it is a very broad topic as well, but I believe that we will try our level best and then
summarize,
yes, give what we can, and then others will also pick it from there, and then together we'll be able to inform each other about independence.
Thank you so much. Just to ask a few questions about independence. When we talk about Gambia's independence, whom do we remember?
That is a very brilliant question, Kajatu, that I would like to share with the viewers. When we say independence, there are great people that we have to remember. And then not only remember them by name, but I believe that it will be important that we remember the activities that they embark on, their legacy, their sacrifice, and so that it will serve as a lesson to us, learn from it, and then make this country great. It is something that they have dreamed of. And then to me, Kajatu, when you say independence, it actually meant so much to me that it is more than celebration. It is just more than to commemorate. I believe that when a day like this comes, it is very important that we interrogate, we make findings, where we are, where we came from, where we are, and where we are going to. I believe that fundamentally this is what makes us different from other beings. The capacity to know the past, apprehend the lesson, and then prepare the future. So when it comes to independence, I believe that it is important for us to interrogate, to go back to the literature review, and then look at some of the things that took place to where we are today. Because we start from scratch, when the Europeans start exploring, coming to colonization, coming to struggle for independence, and then here we are today. We are preparing to celebrate 61 years of independence. So definitely, I believe this is something that worth discussing.
Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. The way you answered the question is really perfect, and I believe the viewers must have been learning and then enjoying the program. Coming to the colonialism, as Gambia was colonized by the British. So what were the key factors that led to Gambia's independence, from colonial rule from 1965?
Beautiful. Some of the things that leads to the independence of the Gambia in 1965 we have several factors altogether. And then one of the factors was the sideline of the elites. Because if you look at the British colonial administration, they adopt indirect rule. And in that indirect rule, they have most of the British officials and then local chiefs, okay, in order to administer the Gambia. So in that sense, you realize that most of the elites were sidelined. And for that being the case, they also took up the stage to make sure that they are given the chance to take part in decision making in their country. This will bring me back to E.F. Small, where he came up with a strike after the organization of the Gambia, to call it Battle Street Union, where he organized one of the successful strike, and then the first strike that was organized in the Gambia by the pressure group, for that matter.
Is it where he said no taxation without proper representation?
Beautiful, beautiful. So which means that the fact that they were sidelined, and then the decisions were purely made by the British officials. So for that being the case, they agitate for them to have their own people representing them. Probably when it comes to that, I will know what actually affects my people, what will be good for my people. So for that being the case, it definitely made the elites to advocate for independence. And from E.F. Small, then it joined to other veterans like Mamour Jallow, who happens to be the among the founders of the Gambia Teachers Union in 1937. And there goes other great politicians as well, such as Reverend J.C. Fay, P.S. Njai. They get into the ring to make sure that we gain our independence. And then coming to it again, because during the colonialism, you will come to realize that Gambians were paying tax.
And they were not properly represented.
And then these tax were not used to build roads. We are not used to build hospitals. Basically, we are not providing a good services for the Gambian people. And then if I am paying tax, this is the first thing that I will question myself. The tax I am paying, where is it going for? Where is it going to rather? And this is what agitate some of our nationalists for them to advocate for independence, so that the tax that we are paying will definitely represent us. Like E.F. Small said that there will be no taxation without proper representation. We have to be represented properly, then we will comply to pay our tax and then to obey the legislation and things that are related to governance.
Thank you so much. Coming to key figures like Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, what part did they play in the Gambians' independence?
Beautiful. We cannot talk about this day without talking about Sadauda Kairaba Jawara as well, who happens to be the first president of the Republic of the Gambia, a veteran by profession, and then later on joined into politics to lead People Patriotic Party that was formed in 1959, and then also occupied various positions in the Gambia. Among them is he also served as the Minister of Education at the time during the colonial time. Didier Jawara will highly be remembered when it comes to a day like this, because he leads the delegation that went to Marlborough House to negotiate about the independence. And then if you look at before the coming of independence, there were some of the pull and push factors. And then among them, there are people that believe that the Gambia cannot be independent because we are not a country that is economically strong enough to govern itself. And then among the recommendations that were done at the time was that there should be a joint federation between the Gambia and Senegal for the Gambia to gain its independence.
That's how the Senegambia Confederation comes in?
No, that's not actually that. Okay, because the Senegambia Confederation later on came in 1962. Okay, and then this one we are talking about in the early or the mid 90s, that is around the 1960s and towards 1965. And then we look at the time, almost all the West African British colonies are already independent, because Ghana regained their independence in 1957, goes to Nigeria, and then again Sierra Leone. So Gambia was by 1963, Gambia was the only country that was left. And other people believe that the Gambia cannot sustain its economy. They cannot, govern themselves at the time. So the only thing is that let them join them with Senegal. Okay, so these are some of the recommendations that came up. But after the conference that was led by D.K. Jawara, okay, on the 22nd July 1964, it is declared in the Marlborough House that the Gambia will regain their independence on the 18th of February 1965. And exactly when it comes that day, the Gambia regains their independence. So if you look at D.K. Jawara, he will definitely be remembered, and I believe that he played a key role when it comes to our independence, because he led the delegation. And anything that comes out from that conference that is of good, you definitely give the credit to the leader, and then he served as the leader who leads the delegation that went to Marlborough House in 1964.
Indeed, he's a great man. They
Absolutely.
all have thought, like they need to be remembered. But the problem of Gambia or Gambians or Africa is they don't celebrate their legends.
Yes, that is exactly one of the problems that we are facing. And then when it comes to people like D.K. Jawara, people like E.F. Small, their sacrifices should not be silent. These are some of the things that we should be talking about so often. Not only when independence is coming, we talked about them. These are people that should inspire the young generations. Okay, these are the people that inspire us. Because once you read history, once you read some of the sacrifice, some of the achievements, okay, done by these people, definitely, Khadija, you'll be inspired, just like how I am inspired.
Of course.
Yes, definitely they have made a great sacrifice, and then we have to celebrate them. And then I am one of them who celebrate them, actually, because I remember when I was active in teaching, I was having a program at the school. We call it Know Your Leaders and Get Inspired. That is every day at the assembly, every week, okay, at the assembly ground, we have your leaders and get inspired. So we choose one leader, okay, and then look about the activities the person was involved in, and then some of the achievements, some of the challenges, so that the young ones will definitely be inspired. And then it was something that was welcomed by the school administration. Then I was active in teaching in Olunum Upper and Senior Secondary School, and it was appreciated by the administration, and even the students, okay, were inspired by some of these great heroes, that are no longer with us.
That is a great initiative. I believe this is what we have to bring in, taking the students back to our roots.
Yes.
Telling them history. History is one of the best. It's one of the best subjects because you will learn and then it shape minds. But talking about Gambia's independence again, how does Gambia's independence shape its development and identity?
Yes, like we said earlier, the independence of the Gambia was something that people were having doubt on at the initial. But thank God that we are here today. We are about to celebrate more than 60 years now, because of the commitment that we have as a nation to guide our sovereignty. And then among it is the belief that our nationalists were having at the time, that of course we can. If other countries are able to have their independence, why not the Gambia? And then we embark on different stages towards independence. Like we say, the road to independence. I will bring that to Nelson Mandela, who will call it long road. It is not something that comes in a day, but along the line, so many things happen, so that the formation of the trade unions, okay, formation of the political parties and the likes. When the issue of um, the British, our colonial masters, were colonizing us, like I said earlier, and then most of the things that they were bringing were not actually bringing us meaningful development. After paying tax, okay, and then the things goes on to the extent that if you look at during the colonial time, Kajatu, you will realize that even the crops that we are supposed to cultivate, okay, were as a result of the influence of colonialism. Because if you look at the Gambia at the time, during in the 1950s, towards the 1960s, the Gambia was even highly centered on cultivation of groundnut. So it means that the British were highly interested with the groundnut as a product, and then they encourage people to cultivate groundnut
and then give them their own prices.
Very good, and then introduce it as a cash crop. And those groundnut that we cultivate at the time, the price were not determined by the Gambians. The price were determined by the Europeans. They will determine, okay, if you grow the groundnut and you harvest it, this is the price that we are going to buy it for. So at the end, you will come to understand that colonialism is seen as massive exploitation. It is regarded as massive exploitation to our economy. That is not only in the Gambia, but beyond the Gambia. Any country that was colonized at the time was, going through high level of exploitation. And the Gambia, as a country that was colonized, also was part of it as well. So basically, like I said, that people were having doubt of the Gambia, that we cannot sustain ourselves if we are achieving independence, that we have to join with Senegal for us to be able to move as a nation. But today we are here as a sovereign nation, okay, and then we have gone as far. Though there are a lot that are still needed, but we are still here as an independent nation. And then we now have, like you said, that how does it say? We now have the Gambians running our own affairs. The Gambians in the executive house, the Gambians in the legislative house, and the Gambians in the judiciary. And basically, this is why independence means so much to us, because these positions were purely occupied by the Europeans or the British officials at the time. So basically, I will say that independence gives us ownership of our own nation.
Like the problems they have faced then, how has it shaped today's development?
Obviously, they have faced so many challenges at the time. That's why they advocate for independence. Okay, and then coming to how does it save our today's development, I will tell you that one of it is that we are able to look at some of the activities that our nationalists embark on, and then today we are embarking on some of those activities in order to achieve some of our objective. And then one of it is that formation of the trade unions. Today we have a lot of trade unions, okay, and at the time trade unions are one of the institutions that were used by the nationalist leaders at the time for them to achieve their objectives. And then coming again, the press. Okay, you look at the road to independence. One of the key instruments that was used at the time, despite that it was there were so many challenges, but at least it was able to pay dividend. That is the press, because if you look at that of the Gambia Outlook, okay, that was headed by E.F. Small at the time, played a great role to inform the Gambian people and even some of the people outside the Gambia about some of the ill practices of the colonial masters. So the Gambia Outlook served as a watchdog to the colonial government at the time. And then today, if you look at the Gambia press, also is playing a great role to make sure that our leaders are accountable to make sure that citizens are informed. And then I would definitely, encourage them to keep it up. And then it paid the difference during our colonial masters, and even up to today, it is making impact. Okay, and then likewise, the trade unions that were embarking on strike. If you look at in 1929, okay, the Batos Trade Union embarked on a strike, a successful one. In 1937, okay, the Gambia Teachers Union was formed, and then it is one of the union that formed a strike at the time, another successful strike. This strike even leads to the establishment of the Gambia Training School at Yundum. Okay, and then you look at the Gambia Labor Union, formed in 1959, staged a strike in 1960 to improve the working conditions of some of the Gambians as well. So if you look at this present generation, people again are using some of these platforms. People are also using some of these strategies, such as strike, in order to make sure that
their voices are heard.
Our voices are heard, to make sure that we make the government aware that these are pressing issues and they need urgent attention to be taken care of. Edward Francis Small is talking about no taxation without proper representation. So what brings that is accountability. So which means that since the colonial time, our leaders advocate for accountability. Today, these are the things that we are calling our government on, to be accountable for their actions,
Wow.
Accountability definitely have to take a center stage in any proper governance. So definitely, it is not something that starts today. It's something that starts with.
It's just like they say, every duty goes with responsibility,
Absolutely.
and every responsibility goes with accountability.
Absolutely.
But then again, if independence really means economic and political freedom, looking at Gambia, it's a small country in Africa.
Yeah.
But then, looking at it politically and economically, do you think there is freedom?
When we call freedom itself is wide.
It's wide.
It's wide. But if you look at the colonial aspect of it, I will give it a yes. If you give the colonial aspect of it, I will give it a yes. Because if you look at the colonial time, Gambians were not allowed to vote. If you look at the colonial time, the executive council were occupied by the British officials. Likewise, the legislative council until in 1947 when we have E.F. Small. So basically, it is a different concept. Okay? And then at a different context, obviously. And then all these things are processed. I believe that we are yet to get there. I believe that if you make your review and understand some of the struggles of our great nationalists, you will understand that the Gambia that they were wishing to see is different from the Gambia that we are having today. But withstanding, I believe that it is a process, and then we will surely get there. It might not be my generation, but I have a firm belief that if we believe in ourselves and then take up the responsibility as citizens of this country, face whatever challenge comes on our way, and then be responsible, okay, and then be willing to take use. They are at their active stage. They are more productive. So if those people are also moving out of the country, be it back way or any other form, okay, it also it drains the active population, and that is definitely also going to affect the growth of our economy. Okay, and then you also come to look at the agricultural sector as well. Exactly. More needs to be looked at in agricultural sector as well, because if you look at in the Gambia, still now our agriculture is struggling. Yes, it's struggling, and then a lot needs to be done when it comes to our agricultural sector. it needs to be mechanized. Okay, and then government needs to, put more attention on our agriculture. Because if you look at the Gambia, most of the people, if they assess our economy, we say we tend to hear that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. If agriculture is the backbone of our economy, then definitely, if I assess our economy, I will say that our economy is weak because agriculture is weak.
Exactly.
If your backbone is weak, definitely it shows your weakness. So definitely, okay, to improve our economy, agriculture needs to be looked at. Tourism needs to be looked at. There are basically so many factors that I can say that if we want to name them here, okay, they will definitely consume the whole of our program.
Like, this was one thing that I was thinking about whole day. I was like, if we are really going to celebrate our independence, our youths are not empowered. Industries, like we can name them, few. We have rotten mangoes, mango season, rotten orange seasons. All those things could be in factories.
Yes, absolutely.
We can have youth can be empowered instead of embarking on this illegal migration.
Absolutely.
Education system need to be mechanized and all that, and then yet we are celebrating independence.
Yes, exactly.
So all these things is also another question mark.
Yes, like I said, that's why when we are starting this program, I say that the issue of celebration, it's fine altogether because we are commemorating the day, and when the day comes, it comes with celebration, and then the culture goes on from there. Because those that witnessed 1965 will tell you that it was well organized, and then the celebration took place in varieties of ways. Okay, because it was a day that we regained our independence, and then so many things took place as well, and then it was a day that so many promises were made to the Gambians. So when it comes to moments like this, if I told the Gambia is a civil servant, it would have been at retirement age as of now. So that's why I say that the issue of whether it worth celebrating or not, we will leave that to the viewers.
Exactly.
And then let them make their own analysis about the Gambia, whether we worth celebrating a day like this. Yes, it was celebrating in 1965, no doubt, because our forefathers definitely struggled for it. But now, it is our own responsibility. We are the Gambians that are steering the affairs of everything that has to do with governance. If it succeeds, it's us. If definitely it fails, it's still us. At this
point, we are supposed to be celebrating development.
Okay.
In our sectors like agriculture, health, education.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying we are not supposed to be celebrating independence, but we are not supposed to be spending millions of dollars when youths are dying.
Yes, that is quite right. That's why I say that it's more than playing music, dancing, and whatsoever. That should have come in 1965, and indeed I was not there on that day, but I believe it happens. Because we are seeing the record of the videos of the activities that took place in 1965, thanks to our historians, because that's still history. Okay, because history happens to be in many forms. It can be oral, it can be written, and then it can be in form of videos and the others. So basically, it happens at the time. So now, what I told you earlier is that we now have to interrogate.
Exactly.
We now have to ask this question: how far have we gone from 1965 today? How far have we achieved what we are supposed to achieve?
Right.
Are we definitely making progress, or there are some lapses? So these are the questions that we should ask ourselves as Gambians. I know that definitely there are some development along the line, but
of course,
I believe that we
have a long way to go.
And then we could have achieved more than
this.
what we have achieved if our leaders we are definitely representing us the way they are supposed to be. If our leaders are using our resources judiciously, if our leaders are definitely having the people at heart, if they definitely believe that they are there to represent us, definitely Kajatu, I believe that we should be beyond this level that we are.
Exactly. Thank you so much, viewers. Reminding you, we're in the Cycle Talk show that comes on your way every Thursday. And then today, we're having Mr. Beyai. I told you earlier that he's a great historian, and now we have seen it. That's the proof. What do you have to say to the viewers before we close the program?
Thank you very much once again, Kajatu. Thank you very much to the viewers. As we know that on Wednesday, the Gambians are supposed to commemorate 61st or 61st.
No, call it 61.
Okay, okay, 61st years of nationhood. And then when we said independence, it actually meant something for us. And then I will ask ourselves, I will ask the viewers to go back to the literature review and then look at where we came from, where we are, and then where we are going to. And definitely I am wishing happy 61st independent anniversary to every Gambian out there, a friend of the Gambians, both at home and in diaspora. And then I am saying a big thank you to Kajatu once again.
You're welcome.
And all the viewers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beyai, for coming. Indeed, I am grateful and honored seeing you here today, sharing a great topic or sharing your knowledge with us about independence. But still, I will leave you with this question. Why do we have to celebrate independence as Gambians when what we need is not made yet? Okay, thank you so much. See you next week.